I lost my $400,000 per year job because of an office affair. Here's what really happened. This is the picture that went viral. Just a simple photo of me and her, smiling like the world was perfect. Like nothing could touch us. Private jets slicing through clouds, leather seats, champagne flutes. Image, 10 or image, 11 style. Businessman working/laughing in luxury cabin. Fast sports car pulling into a gated driveway. Designer watch on a wrist. Stack of bonus checks metaphorically flashing by. That was my life. 6-figure executive track. $400,000 base salary plus bonuses that could double it some years. Corner office, travel, respect. Everything I'd worked 15 years to build. Security badge left on the desk. Empty hallway with fluorescent lights buzzing. A single-framed family photo face down. And in one stupid, reckless moment, I lost it all. My job, my reputation, almost my marriage, all because of an affair that started with just coffee at work. How does someone at the top throw away a $400,000 a year career with one single text message? I was 38 years old, senior vice president of strategy at a major tech firm headquartered in San Francisco. $400,000 base salary, performance bonuses that regularly pushed total comp north of $700,000 in good years. Stock grants vesting every quarter like clockwork. I had the classic executive package, company-leased Tesla in the reserved spot, business class flights to Asia and Europe every other month, expense account that never got questioned. At home in the suburbs, a wife who'd supported me through grad school and the early grind, 2 kids under 10, beautiful, healthy, happy. A house we'd just finished paying the mortgage on early. From the outside, it looked like I'd made it. I started as an entry-level analyst right out of business school. 14 years of 80-hour weeks, missed birthdays, red-eye flights, constant hustle. I climbed fast because I was good. Data-driven, strategic, could read a room and close a deal. People said I had executive presence. I believed my own hype. I told myself the long hours were temporary, that the sacrifices were building something permanent for my family, that once I hit this level, I'd finally have balance. But the truth was simpler. I thrived on the pressure. The adrenaline of board meetings, the ego boost of being the guy everyone turned to in a crisis. I didn't just want success. I needed it to feel like I mattered. And somewhere in all that climbing, I stopped noticing how distant I'd become from the people who actually loved me for free. I had everything a man could want on paper. Everything except time. That's who I was the day she walked into the conference room. The company I worked for prided itself on being different. Open-plan offices with ping-pong tables, free craft beer on tap every Friday, mandatory team off-sites in Napa or Tahoe. The slogan was, "Work hard, play hard," and they meant both parts equally. We had unlimited PTO that nobody ever really took because missing a sprint review could kill your promotion chances. We had no meeting Fridays that turned into 12-hour coding marathons anyway. And we had happy hours that started at 4 p.m. sharp on Thursdays and often didn't end until the last person was poured into an Uber at midnight. The culture blurred every line on purpose. Bosses drank with reports. Interns flirted with directors. What happened after 7 p.m. in the office kitchen or at the rooftop bar downtown stayed at the rooftop bar, or so everyone pretended. HR ran the annual Respect in the Workplace training, 45 minutes of slides and a quiz you could click through in 5. The policy was crystal clear on paper. No romantic relationships between people in the same reporting chain. mandatory disclosure if feelings developed, zero tolerance for harassment. But in reality, nobody disclosed. Nobody got reported. The rule was there mostly so the company could say, "We told them," if things ever blew up. I watched it happen around me for years. A product manager dating an engineer from another team. Everyone knew. Nobody cared. Two VPs who worked late together so often their assistants started booking the same hotel on business trips, joked about in Slack channels. It was normalized. It was part of the vibe. If you weren't playing the game at least a little, you were seen as uptight, not a team player. I told myself I was above it. Married, kids, focused on results. But the environment chipped away at boundaries slowly. Late nights became normal. Alcohol became social lubricant. Eye contact lingered a second longer than it should. And when someone new, someone exciting, walked into that atmosphere, the guardrails were already half dismantled. That's how the trap was set long before anything actually happened. The company didn't just allow it. In subtle ways, it encouraged it. And I walked right in. It was a Tuesday in early spring. The conference room on the 42nd floor was packed for the quarterly strategy alignment meeting. 25 directors and VPs crammed around the long glass table, laptops open, coffee cups everywhere. I was presenting the new go-to-market plan for our flagship product. Slides clicking, numbers flying, the usual rhythm. Then the door opened quietly, and she walked in. Her name was Emily, new Senior Director of Marketing, transferred in from the London office 2 weeks earlier. Blonde hair pulled back in a low ponytail, sharp navy blazer, no-nonsense heels. She carried herself like someone who'd already earned the room's respect before saying a word. She slid into the empty seat directly across from me. Our eyes met for maybe 2 seconds while I was mid-sentence. It wasn't dramatic. No slow motion, no violins. Just recognition. Like we'd both been waiting for the other person to show up without knowing it. She smiled. Small, professional, but warm. I nodded back, kept talking about customer acquisition costs. But something had already shifted inside me. A flicker, a spark, the kind you feel in your chest before your brain catches up and says, "Stop." After the meeting, she stayed behind to introduce herself properly. Hand extended, firm grip. British accent softened by years in the States. "Great presentation. Loved how you framed the competitive moat. I'm Emily, by the way." I said something smooth like, "Thanks. Welcome to the chaos." We laughed. Small talk about the London office versus San Francisco. Jet lag. Favorite coffee spots near the building. It lasted 3 minutes. Completely innocent. But as she walked out, I caught myself watching the way she moved. Confident, unhurried. And I felt it again. Alive. Awake in a way I hadn't been in years. That night I went home, kissed my wife on the cheek, played with the kids, ate dinner like always. But in the quiet moments, brushing my teeth, checking email before bed, her face kept flashing back. Not in a guilty way yet. Just curiously. Like a question I didn't know I had. I told myself it was nothing. A fleeting professional admiration. A harmless ego boost from someone new seeing me at my best. I was wrong. That 2-second look across the conference table was the real beginning. Everything that came after was just momentum. What started as professional respect turned into something else, fast. Too fast. It began with small things. The way she'd ping me on Slack at 8 p.m. with a quick, "Thoughts on the deck before tomorrow?" even though she didn't need my input. I'd reply instantly, heart picking up a little. We'd go back and forth for an hour, strategy talk mixed with memes, inside jokes about the CAEO's latest buzzword obsession, gentle teasing about my terrible taste in music. Coffee runs became routine. We'd grab lattes from the downstairs cafe, walk the long way back through the atrium so the conversation could stretch. She'd laugh at my stories, really laugh, head back, eyes bright, and I hadn't heard that sound directed at me in so long it felt like oxygen after holding my breath for years. Then came the dinners. First one was legitimate, post-client pitch, whole team went out, but somehow we ended up at the same end of the table. Later ones were just us. Quick bite after the late review. I'm starving and don't want to eat alone. Always framed as practical, always after hours, always away from the office building. I told myself the rules: no touching, no compliments that crossed the line, no talking about our spouses or kids in anything but the most surface-level way. As long as we kept it in the friends with chemistry zone, it wasn't wrong. That was the lie I repeated every time I felt the guilt flicker. But the messages kept coming, later and later. Good morning texts disguised as work updates, late-night voice notes because typing felt too slow for what we wanted to say, memes that got flirtier, emojis that meant more than they should. One night she sent a photo, not explicit, just her at home in sweatpants and a tank top, hair down, glass of wine, caption, "Finally off the clock, your turn." I stared at it for 10 minutes before replying, sent back a selfie from my home office, tie loosened, same vibe. That was the moment I knew we'd crossed into dangerous territory. Not physical yet, but emotional, intimate, addictive. Every time I thought about pulling back, I'd remember how seen I felt, how she listened when I talked about the pressure, the boardroom politics, the fear of plateauing, how she didn't judge the long hours or the distance from my family. She understood it because she lived it too. I convinced myself it was harmless, just flirting, just connection. Nobody was getting hurt as long as it stayed words and looks and late-night laughs. I was lying to myself harder than I'd ever lied to anyone else. The spark wasn't dying down, it was turning into a fire, and I kept pouring gasoline on it, one message at a time. The first time we kissed, it wasn't planned. It was after a late client dinner in New York. Team celebration. Too much wine, everyone scattering to their rooms. We'd lingered in the hotel bar, talking strategy that turned into personal stories, that turned into silence that felt electric. She looked at me across the small table and said, "We shouldn't be here." I said, "I know." Then she leaned in anyway. Soft at first, tentative, testing. Then deeper, hungrier. My hand found the back of her neck. Hers gripped my shirt. The world narrowed to just that moment. Her lips, her breath, the taste of Pinot Noir and guilt. We pulled apart, breathing hard, eyes wide, like we'd both just woken up in someone else's life. Neither of us said anything for a long beat. Then she whispered, "Your room or mine?" I chose mine. Door closed, lights low, clothes on the floor. No more pretending. From there, it accelerated. Business trips became cover. We'd book connecting rooms for convenience. Quick morning meetings turned into stolen hours in hotel beds. Back in San Francisco, we got bolder, after hours in the office. Empty conference rooms, supply closets. The executive floor bathroom once, hearts pounding at every sound in the hallway. The thrill was insane. Adrenaline mixed with secrecy, mixed with the high of being wanted, so completely. Every touch felt forbidden and therefore necessary. Every text, "Meet me in 10," sent a jolt straight through me. I deleted messages obsessively, used a second phone app. We had signals. A specific Slack emoji meant parking garage now. Another meant cancelled, wife/kids home early. But the paranoia crept in fast. Every time the phone buzzed at home, I flinched. Every time she walked past my desk in the office, I had to force my eyes down so no one would notice the way I looked at her. I started lying effortlessly. To my wife about late nights, to colleagues about where I'd been, to myself about how under control it all was. We told each other it was just physical, a release, a break from the pressure, nothing emotional, nothing that could derail our real lives. But we both knew that was bullshit. The sex was intense because the connection was already there, deep, unspoken, dangerous. We weren't just sleeping together. We were escaping into each other. Every time we finished, there was this quiet aftermath. Lying there, skin cooling, reality seeping back in. She'd trace circles on my chest and say things like, "This can't keep going forever." I'd agree. Then we'd do it again the next week. I was addicted to her, to the risk, to feeling like the version of myself I liked best, confident, desired, alive. And I kept telling myself we were careful enough, smart enough, that no one would ever find out. We weren't. And they did. Once we crossed that physical line, everything became compartmentalized, like running two separate operating systems in the same brain. At home, I was still dad, still husband. Morning routines unchanged, making school lunches, kissing the kids goodbye, telling my wife, "Love you," as I left for the office. Evenings, family dinner, helping with homework, Netflix on the couch. I'd look at her across the table, tired, beautiful, trusting, and feel a stab of something I couldn't name. Guilt, panic. I pushed it down, told myself it was temporary, that I'd end it soon. At work, I was sharper than ever. The affair gave me this strange, almost superhuman energy. I'd arrive early, stay late, crush presentations, close deals faster. Colleagues noticed, "Man, you're on fire lately." I smiled and said it was the new coffee blend downstairs. Truth was, the secrecy fueled me. The double life was exhausting, but it also made me feel invincible. Like I was getting away with something nobody else could. The lies stacked up quietly. Client dinner ran late. Staying at the office to finish the deck. Traveling to Seattle next week, last minute. My wife stopped asking details after a while. She trusted me. That made it worse. Emily and I got better at the logistics. Separate calendars, code words in Slack. We never texted on personal phones after 7 p.m. Too risky. We used Signal for anything non-work, set to auto-delete after 24 hours. We timed our meetings around her cycle so there'd be no surprises. We were careful, methodical, professional, even in the cheating. But cracks started showing. My daughter asked why I was always on my phone during dinner. My wife commented that I seemed distant lately, more in my head than present. I brushed it off as work stress. She nodded, but her eyes lingered a second too long. At the office, someone else noticed too. A junior director on my team, smart, ambitious, always watching. He'd seen us leave the same elevator together too many times, caught the quick glances across the open floor. He never said anything directly, but I'd catch him staring, then looking away fast. I told myself he was just jealous of my success. Deep down, I knew better. The guilt didn't stop me. It just became background noise. Like static on a radio you learn to ignore. I rationalized everything. My marriage has been on autopilot for years. She gets me in ways my wife doesn't anymore. I deserve this after all the sacrifices. I was living 2 full lives in parallel. One clean, domestic, predictable. One secret, intense, electric. And for a while, maybe 6 months, it worked. I convinced myself I could keep both plates spinning forever. I was wrong about that, too. The plates don't spin forever. Eventually, one of them crashes. And when it does, everything else comes down with it. It ended on a Thursday. Ordinary morning. Kids at school, wife already left for her job, me in the kitchen scrolling emails while the coffee brewed. My phone buzzed. Not work, personal number. My wife. I opened the message. A screenshot. One of the deleted Signal threads with Emily. The kind we thought auto-deleted forever. But she'd somehow recovered it. Maybe from a backup. Maybe from screen recording weeks earlier. The words stared back. Flirty. Explicit. Unmistakable. Followed by another photo. A hotel receipt from our last trip to Chicago. Time-stamped. Room number visible. Her text below it. Explain this. Now. My stomach dropped through the floor. I called her immediately. Voicemail. Texted, "We need to talk. Please." No reply. I drove home early, heart hammering the whole way. She was waiting in the living room, eyes red, suitcase by the door. Kids already at her sister's. She didn't yell. That was worse. Quiet voice. Controlled. Devastated. How long? I told her. 6 months. She laughed once. Bitter. Broken. 6 months of me thinking I was crazy for feeling distant. 6 months of you looking me in the eye and lying. I tried to explain. The pressure. The loneliness. How it just happened. She cut me off. Don't. Just don't. She left that afternoon, took the kids for the weekend, said she needed space to decide what came next. I thought that was the worst of it. I was wrong. Friday morning, 9:17 a.m., I walked into the office like always. HR email waiting. Urgent. Immediate meeting. Conference room 4201. Bring nothing. I knew before I even clicked it. Walked in. 3 people. Head of HR, my boss's boss, and corporate security. No small talk. They slid a folder across the table. Printouts of Slack messages. Security camera stills from the parking garage. Time-stamped photos of us leaving together after hours. An anonymous tip email, detailed, dated weeks earlier. From someone who'd clearly been watching. They didn't ask questions, they stated facts. Violation of company policy on workplace relationships and conflicts of interest. Evidence of inappropriate conduct on company premises and during business travel. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated. Security badge collected. Laptop taken. Escorted to my desk, under supervision, grab what's yours in 5 minutes, then walked out, past the open plan floor, past the people who suddenly found their screens fascinating, past Emily's empty desk. She'd been called in an hour earlier. I sat in my car in the parking structure for 40 minutes. Didn't cry, didn't scream, just stared at the steering wheel. $400,000 salary. Gone. Career in that industry. Probably gone. Marriage, hanging by a thread. And the worst part? It wasn't a surprise. Deep down, I'd always known the crash was coming. I just kept driving faster toward it anyway. That was the moment everything exploded. Not with fireworks, with silence. And the slow, sick realization that I'd done this to myself. To all of us. The first 72 hours after the firing felt like free fall. I drove straight home from the parking garage, house empty, kids still with my wife's sister, her suitcase gone, closet half empty, a note on the kitchen counter, short, handwritten. I need time. Don't call the kids yet. We'll talk when I'm ready. No love, no hate, just nothing. That blank space hurt more than anger would have. I sat on the couch staring at my phone. No more work emails, no Slack pings, no calendar invites, just silence. The kind that screams, bank app. Direct deposit would hit one last time next week. Severance was minimal because for cause termination. After that, nothing. $400,000 salary vaporized. Bonuses, gone. Stock grants, forfeited on termination. Health insurance, Cobra at $2,000 a month if I wanted to keep it. Mortgage payment due in 12 days. Kids' private school tuition already paid for the semester. But next one? No idea. Lawyers came next. I called the employment attorney recommended by a former colleague. He was blunt. Company had documented evidence, cameras, messages, witness statements. You're not winning wrongful termination. Focus on severance negotiation and non-disparagement. He got them to bump severance to 3 months' pay, $100,000 before taxes, in exchange for signing away all claims and agreeing not to sue. I signed. What choice did I have? Social media lit up fast. Someone, probably that junior director, leaked just enough. LinkedIn posts from concerned colleagues. Anonymous Glassdoor review. Exec fired for affair with direct report. HR finally did something right. Industry Slack groups and WhatsApp chats buzzing. My name became a cautionary tale overnight. Recruiters who used to call weekly, radio silence. Connections I'd built over 15 years, ghosting or polite. Let's catch up when things settle. Emily? She was let go the same day. Different policy violation, same outcome. We didn't speak after that. One last signal message from her the night it broke. I'm sorry. For everything. I didn't reply. What was there to say? My wife came back Sunday night to pack more things. Kids weren't with her. She looked at me like I was a stranger. We're staying with my parents for now. I filed for legal separation this morning. I asked if there was any chance. She said, I don't know if I can ever trust you again. And right now, I don't even want to try. Then she walked out. Door closed softly. I slid down the wall in the hallway and finally broke. Sobs I didn't know I had in me. The money was gone. The family was fracturing. The career I'd built my identity around? Ashes. And the worst realization hit hardest. I hadn't just lost a job. I'd lost the man I told myself I was. The provider. The protector. The one who had it all together. In 3 days, everything I'd spent 15 years constructing collapsed. And the only person responsible was staring back at me in every mirror. Narrator speech. Section 10. The lessons I paid $400,000 to learn. It's been almost 2 years since that Thursday morning when everything blew up. The dust has settled, but the scars are still there. Some days they ache. Most days I just carry them. I lost the $400,000 salary, the corner office, the prestige, the illusion that I was untouchable. But in the wreckage, I found a few truths I wish I'd learned some other way. Truths that cost me everything to understand. First, no job is worth your family. Not one. I used to tell myself the long hours, the travel, the sacrifices were all for them. They weren't. They were for me, for the validation, the status, the rush. When the money stopped and the title vanished, the only people who still mattered were the ones I'd been neglecting. My wife didn't leave because of the affair alone. She left because she'd been living with a ghost for years. I almost lost them permanently. That fear woke me up harder than any boardroom failure ever could. Second, office affairs always get exposed. Always. No matter how careful you think you are, deleted messages, separate entrances, code words, someone sees. A camera, a jealous colleague, a recovered file, a moment of carelessness. The truth doesn't stay buried in environments built on gossip, open plans, and late nights. If you're flirting with that line, understand this. The crash is not if, it's when. And when it comes, it doesn't just take your job. It takes your credibility in every room you'll ever walk into again. Third, character is your real net worth. Money comes and goes. Titles fade. Networks ghost you when you're radioactive. But who you are when no one's watching, that's the only asset that can't be fired, revoked, or stolen. I spent 15 years building a resume. I spent 6 months tearing down my integrity. The resume is gone. The integrity is what I'm rebuilding now, one honest day at a time. I went to therapy, real therapy, not the executive coaching kind. My wife and I fought through couples counseling, screamed, cried, sat in silence for entire sessions. It wasn't pretty, but we're still here. Rings back on, kids back under one roof most nights. Trust is slow to rebuild, but we're doing the work. I started a small consulting practice, strategy for mid-sized tech firms. It pays about $120,000 a year if things go well. No bonuses, no stock, no private jets. But I set my own hours. I'm home for dinner. I coach my son's soccer team. I look my wife in the eye and mean it when I say I'm present. That's worth more than the old salary ever was. If you're watching this and you're in that grey zone, late-night messages, lingering looks, just friends that don't feel just, stop. Delete the thread. Walk away. The thrill lasts minutes. The regret lasts lifetimes. Look at this picture one more time. We're smiling because we thought we were invincible. We weren't. I paid $400,000 to learn that lesson. Don't make the same down payment. If this story hit home, drop a below. And if you're thinking about crossing that line at work, remember this face. Remember what it cost. Don't let it cost you yours. Thanks for listening. Take care of what really matters.